Hello and welcome everyone, you're going to another video. This video, we're going to talk about some top teams featuring the newly buffed Pokemons in the new season. I figured out why would I make meta stuff. Let's just make fun teams about the things that actually get buffed in this season. We don't have to start like the most try-hard way. Because like if people are try-hard, they just have their own meta teams. And then they just spam. But most of my viewers like to have fun in the Great League and like to try hard in the Master League. Are you one of those? Let me know in the comment section below, because I feel like that has been the majority. People just chill in Great League, and when the Master League is around, they just do KO Godzernias. But back to Great League. What is Great League meta? Well, the new meta technically hasn't shaken up anything, I would say, from looking at this, but I can see that there is a slight difference. Things like Licky is still number one, Feraligatr, Jellicent, Corsola, Quagsire have been in the same spot, Tinkaton is still there, Altaria is still there. So what has moved? Well, technically, the things that moved, it's just like now we will have more Code Breaker to the Feraligatr, Licky, Corsola, Quagsire, kind of like a 3 we say trio, 4 we say cuadro. I feel like I'm speaking Spanish. I don't know. It sounds very Spanish. So yeah, those 4 Pokemons, now we have more core breakers to that, and things are getting like Dynamic Punch or like something with like a fighting move or like a new water type in the town. So the first Pokemon to talk about here is actually going to be Sliggo. Sliggo get access to 2 charge moves, Dragon Breath, and that's by itself is actually nuts, and Body Slam. So what does Sliggo do? Sliggo, think of it as a Shadow Altaria stats. So it has more attack than Altaria and less defense and HP, which is literally what a Shadow Altaria would look like stat-wise. Now I know stats stay the same on Shadow Altaria, but like you get 10%, I think 20% more damage, and you take 20% more damage. So like that's what Shadow Altaria would look like, literally Sliggo. And Sliggo, if you want to use it, it needs things that would destroy the fairies. So that's why we have Sableye. Well, technically this is an ABA team weak to Sable guy, but I do like the double Shadow Claw duo in the back. You have Feraligatr or Sableye as the safe switch, whichever you find more fun. Sableye got access to Drain Punch, which by itself is actually huge. With Drain Punch, basically it's a fighting move. When you throw it, you increase your defense, and Sableye is spammy enough to become a thick tank at one point. Like, especially if you use the Shadow, if you use a Drain Punch, you will have aggressiveness from the Shadow with the bulk of the non-Shadow after you use the Drain Punch. Now, if we move to the second Pokemon here in the list, we have Kecleon. Now, Kecleon was basically a spicy Pokemon. It basically has a Sucker Punch, and Sucker Punch is probably the best 2-turn fast move right now when we're talking about offensively wise. And it's the Pokemon that destroys Licky, destroys Feraligatr, destroys Corsola, destroys Quagsire, destroys Tinkaton. No, it doesn't. It's basically a better version of Ferret. Ferret has Sucker Punch with the grass fast move and Body Slam. Here we don't have Body Slam, but we have Thunder Punch instead, but we have Dynamic Punch, and so basically Kecleon is going to be the normal type that destroys all the other normal types, plus the Shadow Claw users. And there is lots of them, except that Kecleon technically is going to struggle into Azo. Well, we have Thunder Punch, but it's not going to be enough, I'm telling you. So when we use Kecleon, we need to protect it from the fighters, because it's a normal type with a dark type, which means the fighting you take super effective, and the dark type is resisted by fighters, so you need to protect it from the fighters. So that's why we have double fairies. Fairy number 1 is going to be Tinkaton. Fairy number 2 is going to be Corsola. Corsola is fairy ghost, right, guys? No, I'm just saying it's a counter to the fighters. It's not a fairy. Speaking of the fighters, one of the spicy fighters that's going to be around next season is Galarian Zapdos. Now, the problem with Zapdos, it's a counter user, and most of the counter users are just bad in the meta. Well, what about Poliwrath? Well, Poliwrath is solid because it's a water type that beats the other water type because it has a non-water fast move. Isn't that Feraligatr? Yes, but Poliwrath is tankier. And Dynamic Punch is very, very good in the current meta. Like, you hit so many neutrals, or you hit super effective into lots of things that are meta. So that's like the main thing about it. Well, technically, Galarian Zapdos is going to be the fighter that beat that, because it's subtyping flying. And also it has access to fly. Now the main problem with Gradient Zapdos, it doesn't have a cheap charge move. Now 2 years ago, having a 45 energy move would be considered cheap. In the current meta, a cheap move means a 35 energy move. Even 40 is sometimes non-cheap. That's why you don't see Empoleon all over the board, because its moves is basically 40. Now you're gonna be like, oh, what about the guy who won regional with Empoleon? Empoleon's great, okay? But some Pokemons are slightly better. Like, people still preferring Quagsire over Empoleon because it has access to a cheaper move. Like, that's the main reason. And to protect a fighter, okay, first we need a fairy to protect it from the other fairies. So that's why we need a fairy that beats other fairies, which is the fairy steel type. And Corsola is just a neutral Pokemon. Now another buffed Pokemon is going to be Sylveon. Sylveon now has access to Fairy Wind. It's no longer a Charmer. Fairy Wind is just so busted, right? And I was thinking about what could be a fairy, a good team for a fairy. There was a popular team, played by lots of people, and then mastered by Mr. Jonathan Kelly. He used to play Umbreon Double Dark, which is Umbreon Double Fairy. And I think the concept of the team, which is Dark Double Fairy, is still legit. And the best Dark type right now in the entire meta is Sableye. You could say the best Dark type is Kecleon, because the damage comes from a Dark fast move, right? And then, what are the best two fairies? Gonna be Tinkaton and Togekiss. Well, technically, this team is about Sylveon, so that's why you're gonna see a Sylveon here. If we're talking about more buffed stuff, we're gonna talk about Kingdra. Now Kingdra get access to Surf, so it's no longer like an Octazooka spammer. With Octazooka, don't get me wrong, was great in Ultra League. It was insane. It was nuts. But in Great League, it's bad, because if you don't get the buff, you're gonna lose the game, because Kingdra in the Great League doesn't have enough bulk to fight. So now, with having access to Surf, that's a cheaper move than Octazooka, you don't need to rely on the buff. You can just spam Surf, especially with the newly buffed. Well, technically, it's not newly buffed. With the buffed Dragon Breath version. So now it's just gonna spam Surfs. Now, the main problem with Kingdra is Azumarill. So you need two Pokemons that beat Azumarill, and that's why we have Azumarill and Tinkaton. The only Pokemon I could think of that is meta and beat Tinkaton and Azu is Universe Stunfisk, and that's why we have it, so we can have a protection against those. And there is a Tinkaton. Another Pokemon that got buffed is Quack something. Quack, I think, now has access to a move that I forgot, but I think it's basically a wing attack user. It's like a slightly better version of Pelipper, because it doesn't have the subtyping flying, as far as I remember. So it's a Pelipper that doesn't take double super effective from Electric. That's like the main thing, okay? And I was like, what could be a good team with it? And I was like, let's just go with Double Fire. What are the best two fires? Well, Kanto Ninetales is one, and the second best type with fire is Gourgeist. I know it's not a fire type, but most of the damage comes from a fire fast move, which is Incinerate. A team that I thought might deserve a shot is it's not a buffed one, but it's a team that I would like to remind myself and you guys to use. It's actually very fun, which is Grumpig Double Dark. It's a fun team, okay? I like it. That's why we have it. So yeah, thanks so much everyone for watching. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, night, or whatever you're having. This has been very fun, and I can't wait to make more content about the new season. In the meantime, don't forget to leave a like to the video, subscribe to the channel, click on the hype button so you can hype up the content and get it featured on other people's feeds. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.